in my past life, I taught fitness, and in fitness, you get bonuses based on how many people attend your class. So how did I get people to attend my class? I sold myself. I sold the workout because I believed in it, but I posted about it all the time on Instagram, on Twitter. Come to my class. This is what it is. This is what the music is. This is why I love working here. So when I transitioned into software, it came really natural to me to act as a social salesperson. Just like sellers go and look at the prospect's LinkedIn to understand their role. Do they still work at that company? How active are they on social? Buyers are doing the same thing. They're likely trying to be sold the same or a similar type of product by multiple vendors. So at the end of the day, people buy from people. What they're going to do is go and look at your profile and what does it say about you? Did you post about yourself? Is there something that they have in common with you? Do you seem to be an expert in your field? Really, social selling has become a buzzword, but it's really influencing or personal brand that's a reflection of both your company and yourself.
Hi, and welcome to the Social at Scale podcast. I'm Cameron Brain, your host and the CEO and co-founder of Everyone Social. This podcast is dedicated to the topic of employee advocacy and how marketing, sales, and recruiting teams use it to drive efficient ROI. Let's get going.
Well, I'm Lily Christensen. I run our partnerships team here at Everyone Social. That means I wear a lot of hats. So really, I source new partners, think about the way our partner program can work as far as different types of partners. And then I get to do all the fun stuff like thinking about how to implement those partners, how to market those partners, how to enable sellers to sell joint solutions or activate resellers. So really, it works well for my personality, and I set a timer for 30 minutes. I work on one task, and then I switch jobs, and then I do that for 30 minutes, and that's basically how my day goes.
Why are partners important to us? I know that that's a bit of a baited question, but you've been working on this for a year plus now. We've seen a lot of really kind of cool things happen, but why are partners important to us, and also why are they important to our customers in the market?
Yeah, I think I got into this role. I came from direct selling where I was able to attain quota largely sourced from partners. And what I learned by closing those deals was that there was a level of warmthness with those leads that just didn't exist from your traditional cold outbound motion. I think in today's market, there's so much noise. There are so many products that people are really looking to have solutions that they feel like they can trust. And so a lot of times that comes from partners, whether it be an agency or a buying group that they are a part of, where if that person recommends a certain solution, they're definitely more inclined to consider it. Or if it's a technology piece that they've already invested heavily in, they're going to be more interested in hearing what pieces of technology that technology is interested in versus going out and going through a sales process with an unknown vendor. So for us, it's really activated an entirely new revenue stream outside of what we were doing in the past, which was your standard direct sales process of outbound and inbound. This is like a third channel of partners that it's mostly an inbound revenue source.
How have you seen it help our customers? Like how has it changed, that relationship and the options that are available to them?
At the end of the day, we don't really use anything that's not integrated. If I have to make a new account on an app or something that I want to sign up for, I'm likely to drop off during that process. So what we're really trying to build, especially in our technology partners, is a seamless experience for clients where I'm not jumping from one platform to the next platform to the next platform to do my job. Everything I need lives in one space. And that's not just for the buyer of the tool, it's for the person who's in it every single day. We're making it easy for them to access, straightforward, and then bringing it all together for reporting and analytics so they can see their entire job in one dashboard rather than in 5.
Yeah, so that was, we've had kind of two, I guess, premises when we started out. One was that it's going to be really important to bring advocacy tools to where people are spending their time, which is kind of what you just talked about. And then the second is from a buyer standpoint that more companies are interested in basically getting, in particular in the kind of social marketing space, getting everything they need from, or most of what they need at least from a single vendor. Have those things kind of proven out in your mind now that we've been working with some partners and winning some deals and things?
Yeah, consolidation of the tech stack is huge, not just from a user perspective, but to your point, from a buyer perspective. It's going to be a lot more time consuming to go and procure 3 or 4 tools when I could just get one. What you learn in those situations, though, is that a lot of times when someone does a lot of everything, they don't do anything particularly well. So what we're trying to do is bring the best solutions where the product teams and the enablement teams are really focused on doing what they do and doing it well, but simplifying that process. So everyone kind of stays in their lane, builds the best products, supports them in the best ways. But for the end user, you're getting that one vendor experience. It's all happening behind the curtains, like the Wizard of Oz or something.
Yeah, I mean, we've talked about this before, but I don't think anyone, inherently wants to buy a mediocre solution, right? Like everyone, wants to have the best, but sometimes, simplicity, kind of ease of relationship, budget, pricing, et cetera, maybe kind of take the primary seat. What have you learned just from working with our partners so far? What if anything has surprised you over the last 6+ months?
Well, my whole job has kind of surprised me over the past 6 months.
It's all new.
Yeah, it's all new and it's all ever changing. But I think that the thing that I've learned the most is that 2 vendors are actually better than one. Contrary to everything we just said, where it could be easier to buy just one tool, or it could be cheaper to buy just one tool. What we've really learned is that when you take more ideas and more people and are able to weed through them and make something that's really effective, you took more ideas, more feedback, more specialization, and made something that's better versus just one product where you had 5 people and they made the choices. We have, sometimes to our demise, 50 people making the choices, but you get so many different ideas, so many different ways to think through a problem. And at the end, perhaps a better solution because we went through every single possible way to get there.
Yeah, I think there's no question about that. I mean, and we've heard, clients say that, like, even very, very large companies say, we want to buy the best, but you guys have to work together. You've got to be integrated. And yeah, I think to your point, having participated in many of your conversations with partners, I think we've learned a lot as we've gone along, right? And to your point, they've added to our own decisions, our collective decisions in terms of like how we want to integrate, how we want to bring this stuff to market. Talk about like our 2 of our kind of top of mind partners right now, Chorus and WorkVivo. What do they do? How are we partnering with them? What do those integrations look like?
Yeah, from a partner strategy perspective, what we've learned is when we find another company with a similar ICP, similar goals, and just an overall vision for this partnership, it's the most effective way to work together, both from a sales perspective and a product perspective. When everyone's bought into the idea that 2 tools together are going to directly benefit them, usually against a shared competitor, there's a lot more success that we've found. So in the case of Koros, which is one of our partners, what we did was noticed in the market that there are a lot of social suites that include a little bit of everything. It's kind of like a sampler. But there are a few that are more like pillars in the market that do one thing and they do it well. But in today's market, nobody really wants to be an island out on their own. Everyone kind of wants to band together, both mostly for the user experience. And so when we partner with tools that have a shared competitor that does what we do, we find a lot of success, both from like an invitation to participate in RFPs perspective, from a shared understanding of the market perspective. So we've been able to partner really closely with Khoros, where they do social publishing and we do employee advocacy. And while those two tools used to live independently, what we've learned is that a lot of times the content that a company wants to share on their brand handle is similar, if not the same as the content that they want their employees to share. If it's a campaign or something, perhaps there's just like a small spin on the copy or the content. But when those two tools don't live together, it can be easy for the person whose job it is to publish to forget, or for their job to take twice as long because they have to do the same thing twice. So by coming together, we've created more of a holistic marketing solution, which includes employees because they can act as the brand advocate outside of just posting on the brand handle.
How about WorkVivo as one of our other partners?
Yeah, so WorkVivo is an internal comms tool that we partnered with. They have very robust comms features like podcasts and different things that make sort of a hub for their employees. And it was all internal. So what they were doing was just creating culture and community, which is kind of what we do, but they were doing it all internally, and none of that was being translated out into the general market through share. So what we've done with WorkVivo is partnered together to basically act as the engine for sharing content. So all of the same internal comms features from WorkVivo exist, but now there's this shareable type of content. So outside of just seeing things inside, chattering inside, users are able to share out pieces of content, and it all happens really seamlessly behind the scenes for the user, and they don't really even know that everyone's social is what's sharing. To the point of simplicity, nobody wants to sign up for 5 different tools for work. I joined my job and then I got Slack and then I got WorkVivo, and then now someone wants me to share. The more I can bring that all into one platform, I'm already in WorkVivo checking up on content. And then there's just a really simple option that's served up to me on a platter to share to my network. Because they're already doing the work of building community and culture, I think that we're going to see really great success because people like working there. What we learn is that most people do want to share company content, especially on their professional networks. They're just scared. They don't know what to share. They don't know how to share it. So when we serve it up to them, it's a lot easier for them to do it, and they're going to be very likely to participate.
What do you see over the remainder of this year and kind of moving forward? Like what's your vision for partners and kind of, where we can take this?
Yeah. The cool thing about partners is that you can always go get a new one, but there's also so much to be done with your existing ones. So you really get that hunter-gatherer model. Partners is like a mini business inside of a business. So as far as our existing partners, there's so much opportunity for growth in pursuing new clients, in introducing one another to our existing clients. We can build better integrations that are informed by our shared users. There's a lot on the horizon for our existing partners, but there's also millions of software companies where we do share those same customer profiles, and we're able to basically replicate what we've done with our existing partners with new partners. So for the rest of the year, we're really going to focus on farming what we have while growing in a strategic way and selecting partners that are going to meet the needs of our clients. You and I talk a lot about who to partner with next, but we also ask our CSMs, we ask our customers, what tools are you using? We really want to understand what our power users are doing and how we can make their lives and their jobs easier.
Cool. Well, thanks, Lily. That was great. Why don't we talk a little bit about social selling, if that sounds good?
Let's do it.
Okay.
Social selling.
Social selling. So social selling, important to us, important to our clients, for all sorts of different reasons. We're seeing pressure put on traditional marketing activities and channels, from email to blocking inbound phone calls to increasing expense and kind of decreasing effectiveness of ads, to say nothing of the fact that everyone is like trimming their ad budgets right now. So more and more attention being paid to the individuals within an organization, especially the sales team, right? Giving them kind of the best tools to go out there and connect and engage, and in kind of an increasing way functioning as an extension of the marketing team. But you run our partner function, but you also in many ways function as an individual contributor. How do you think about social selling? What have you learned? Kind of why is it important?
Yeah, not to go down a deep, dark tangent, but I'm clearly a millennial. So I get socially sold things all day on Instagram, on Facebook, even before ads were really prevalent on those networks. It's why we call it employee influencing. I get influenced to buy things all the time or to create an idea of what I think of a product or a brand just by my peers using them or sharing about them. In my past life, I taught fitness, and in fitness, you get bonuses based on how many people attend your class. So, how did I get people to attend my class? I sold myself. I sold the workout because I believed in it, but I posted about it all the time on Instagram, on Twitter. Come to my class. This is what it is. This is what the music is. This is why I love working here. So, when I transitioned into software, it came really natural to me to act as a social salesperson. Just like sellers go and look at the prospect's LinkedIn to understand their role. Do they still work at that company? How active are they on social? Buyers are doing the same thing. They're likely trying to be sold the same or a similar type of product by multiple vendors. So at the end of the day, people buy from people. What they're going to do is go and look at your profile and what does it say about you? Did you post about yourself? Is there something that they have in common with you? Do you seem to be an expert in your field? Really, social selling has become a buzzword, but it's really influencing or personal brand that's a reflection of both your company and yourself.
Why do you think, before you came and joined us here at Everyone Social, you were a seller at another software company, and um, why do you think salespeople can be cautious about building their brand, or what kind of reticence have you seen from those folks, and also just from sales leadership? I mean, it kind of comes from both ends. Yeah, what have you seen in terms of people kind of being cautious? What do you think the root of that is?
Yeah, I'm sure there are a few, like just general paralysis, looking at the text box with the cursor, like, what do I say? What if I say the wrong thing? But I think the larger piece is likely, if you've ever been in a sales role, you know that there's only two things that matter: activity and closed $1. At the end of the day, those are the two things that you're going to be graded on at the end of the quarter. From sales leaders, I think that a lot of times they're just so used to using a traditional channel: call, email, get on Zoom info. That's what they want to see you doing. And they set metrics around that. For a seller, you're just trying to close as many deals as you possibly can. So this idea of this social selling is like, if I share on my social network, how is that going to help me close a deal in the immediate term? I think what's happening is that we're not really thinking about the long term of, you know what, if I post this thing today about how I really experienced XYZ, or how my background is this, in a month, in 2 months, in 3 months, maybe there's going to be a prospect that comes across my profile that really resonates with this piece of content. It has such a long tail and such a like gentle effect that I think that it's really hard to prioritize when all day everyone's like, how many calls did you make? How many dollars did you close? And so it's going to be a mind shift to make this part of your daily process and understand that the tail and the success of this might not be as tangible, but it's definitely there.
Yeah, it's interesting. I think I think there's a definite like nearsightedness to how sales teams kind of prioritize and operate. And but the interesting thing is, I think whereas that's probably a hard habit to break, and as many of our clients I think recognize who use us within sales teams, the sales teams kind of also hold the key, right? Because marketing just can't have the same impact, especially I think if you're a B2B organization, where you're trying to reach buyers at other businesses. And as we know, like oftentimes in B2B sales, you're not talking about one person, you're talking about a collection of people, sponsors, and the person who's going to own the product or system that you're trying to sell, and support, and all of these other kind of folks that make up this kind of buyer constellation. It's just increasingly difficult for brand to kind of make those connections and develop those relationships. What have you seen that is good practice in your mind, or what are you doing? And then what have you seen that maybe stands out as a poor practice, bad example?
Well, you're a CEO, so I'm sure that you have lots of examples of the bad practices of social selling in your own experience, like lots of in-mails. To me, that's kind of the number one no. It's the in-mails. You get a connection request, and then as soon as you hit accept, you get that little like ding ding sound, and you're like, great, what are they instantly going to try and sell me? And I don't really read that. Like normally I just let them like compile in my inbox until LinkedIn tells me I have like 30 notifications, and then I'll clear them. Social selling is so strategic, where there's just so many different ways to approach it. My personal approach is, if you can have this much foresight to share a piece of content that you feel like would really resonate with a certain group that you're targeting. This requires a lot of strategy in your sales process, but for example, if you're targeting healthcare and you share a piece of content, maybe it's about your own experience with healthcare or working in healthcare, or a healthcare case study or client experience that you feel like is really relevant, maybe a new product release that makes more compliance available. And then you go and you connect with or view the profiles of those targets in that industry. Normally, human suspicion and curiosity is going to peak when you see people viewing your profile. That's one of the best parts of LinkedIn. You're like, who is social stalking me? So when I see those profiles, I'm most likely to go click and view them back at that time. So if I go and click on your profile and there's a piece of relevant content about my industry or about a product that I might be interested in, that's when there's the most likelihood that I'm going to engage with that content. I think down the line, there's definitely a time for in-mails, but you really need to be creating a persona, liking content of your prospects, commenting on it, vice versa, sharing content, maybe tagging them in the comments and saying, hey, I think you might like this, and then following up with an in-mail. No instant in-mails, more strategy behind what you share and then who you're trying to engage with during that time frame.
Yep, totally. And you said something a minute ago that I think is, oftentimes just the kind of details and particulars. More and more people are becoming aware of this, but it's not necessarily top of mind. When you share something on a network like LinkedIn, as a user, that thing lives forever, right? And so to your point, oftentimes we see kind of the most engagement, closest to when something was posted, but it's not uncommon to see, weeks, months later, right, someone liking something or someone commenting on it, or even more likely just being exposed to it, through kind of the routine that you said, which is like, who is this person? Go to their profile, see their timeline, maybe filter by post, see what they're posting, I mean, I know that's a regular activity that I engage in when I'm trying to kind of understand who someone is, right? Who am I getting on the phone with? Who is this person? You know, what are their values? What are their priorities, et cetera? But
Okay.
yeah.
Sounds good.
Thanks, Lily.
Thanks for listening to this episode of the Social at Scale podcast. If you enjoyed what you heard, please be sure to subscribe. If you didn't enjoy it, please let me know. You can access past episodes on our site at everyonesocial.com/podcast. As always, please feel free to connect with me directly on Twitter or LinkedIn, and look forward to seeing you next time.